maintain our ownership while at the same time justify the right kind of IR. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thanks a lot. So in the mobile sector, what do you see that growth, significant growth and killer application space?
Are you talking in sort of consumer?
I'm looking at the overall mobile space. There's going to be a lot of convergence. Next 10 to 15 years, if I look at, there's not going to be a laptop, there's not going to be a desktop which you will never be seeing it. So you will see that some of the devices which are coming through, just if iPod was not there, there is no iPhone. It's the argument for that. So now,
if there wasn't an iPhone, there wouldn't be an iPad.
Yeah, so now basically it's a progressive success of each of the.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that I find myself doing is I'm leaving my laptop at home. Yeah. Right? I go to my go to the office with just the iPad, and we have at our partner meetings we have a rule that thou shall not open your laptops, but that rule doesn't apply to the iPad because it's sitting there in front of you, and our managing general partner who is in DC. He can't see that far across the VTC. He can't detect an iPad looks just like a book. So it's for those of us that are sometimes a little tested by long discussions. It's a good outlet for us to catch up on fantasy football. But there is no easy answer to that on the mobile side of things. I think there again, like I said, I think the innovation is being triggered from the consumer side first. All right, there's a lot of interesting things happening on the consumer side. But one of the things that I find is that there's a lot of consumer-oriented apps that are really wrappers around web applications, and I think that's bogus. That's totally bogus. All right. One of the other interesting trend that I see in the mobile space is this, right? So if you think about how it's sort of deja vu all over again, and let me explain what I mean by that. We started off with mainframe. From mainframe, we went to client server. From client server, we went to sort of the web, sort of thin client model. Now, with the iPhone, iPad, we're going back to sort of the client server mode, right? And in some cases, we're actually going back to mainframe also, with sort of server-based computing and things like that. And so I think there's an opportunity to, if you can create a highly functional, interactive app, on the mobile that leverages the underlying hardware platform, could be big.
Do you see anything in the digital TV?
Oh yeah. I mean, I actually think one of the biggest trends I think on the mobile side is actually video. I have an investment in mobile video search and delivery company called VuClip that's doing close to 300 million page views a month, over 100 million video downloads a month. So they're like a rocket ship there. And what's happening is that they are able to let the average user who has even a feature phone, not necessarily a smartphone, get access to, because in a lot of the emerging world, the mobile phone is your PC, right? And to be able to do all those kinds of things. So that's the other thing that, everyone's thinking about it purely from a smartphone or a smart device point of view. There's a whole world outside of that. If you just step out into, everyone talks about Apple and Android and things like that. Hello, Nokia is 70% market share, right? And so even for that matter, the RIM BlackBerry have a very significant market share. And so if you can create solutions for those kinds of platforms, it could be very interesting. Yeah.
I'm not seeing a lot of applications or mobile payment side. I haven't seen a lot of traction going on. I mean, I'm hearing about it now in 4 or 5 years, but I haven't seen anything really.
Yeah. The question is, what's happening in the mobile payment side of things? Not seeing a whole lot. To be honest with you, I was very excited about that space also. And I would still love to see a solution happen. In fact, I was very keen on investing in a company, I came very close to investing in a company in the mobile payment space, particularly for the Indian market. Because, as all of you know, India is a cash economy, credit card penetration is relatively low, right? And you've got, fragmentation of the consumer-oriented businesses, the kirana stores or the chai dabba types, And, but the other interesting thing is it's a very local economy, right? Because everyone knows everyone. It's not like if you don't pay me, you're running away. I know where you live, right? And so mobile would actually lend itself very well to payments. The problem there is government regulation.
Yeah, that's what, like, I'm not saying much about my company, but I work for eBay, and PayPal is a very good application. Like lots of time we have seen people going on lunches and they use just iPhone. Even with Bump now, that okay fine, this is how we'll distribute our coins. Like I came here and I asked Sridhar, like, do you have PayPal so that I can pay right now using PayPal?
Yeah.
And again we are having the same problem. Like Indian government, especially RBI, it has put a lot of bottlenecks there so that PayPal cannot
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, in fact that's the difficulty we found also, which is it's any such things are considered non-banking financial institutions, and there's so much consumer protection. I mean, they're doing it for the right reasons, but it's sort of getting in the way of providing an effective solution. Now, what's the other area where I think there is what we've seen, in fact, I have an investment in a company in India called Value First, and what they do is they enable application to consumer communication, like for instance mobile alerts on banking applications, and there are lots of other interesting applications happening around top-up cards and how do you top up your phone using your mobile phone itself, as opposed to going to the neighborhood store and filling out forms and things like that. So there's some innovation happening, but I think we're still away from having a perfect solution in the mobile payment sector.
So countries are going to decide how they are going to.
Yeah, I think it's easier to do here, obviously,
yes.
right? But the other thing that people are afraid of is around all of this hawala money, and unregulated money transfers and things like that.
I was saying that just from a mobile payments perspective, donations, mobile donations, like for AT and all the
SMS transactions,
amazing amount of money that can be raised.
Yeah, it's so easy to do so.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's an important one. We have an investment thing, a company called Causes, which is actually a Facebook application, and they enable some of that too.
So all these devices, like mobile devices and then analog and digital systems, they are generating a lot of data nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Like we used to think about terabytes of data, now it's petabytes and exabytes. So are you investing in some kind of companies which are mining huge amount of data, and we see like some future in that?
Yeah, good question. So let me answer that question. Let me repeat the question. He said, are you investing in companies that are mining data, the increasing sort of exponential growth of data being generated? Actually, I'm looking at, first of all, we have invested in business intelligence products like, Pentaho and Vertical and companies like that, which provide more the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. I actually looked very closely, didn't end up investing in these streaming databases. We also have an investment in a company called MapR, which is essentially sort of a MapReduce sort of infrastructure play. But the thing that I like, that is most intriguing to me, is what I call influencer marketing. So, have you guys heard or read the book Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell? Malcolm Gladwell sort of popularized this whole notion of influence the influencers, right? And it's this sort of a marketing go-to-market or a marketing technique has been prevalent for a very long period of time. It's nothing new, but the internet and particularly social media has kind of changed some of that quite a bit, because it's made it easier to identify influencers, right? And before, like for instance, if you wanted to go out and market a enterprise product, what did you do? The traditional way was go and suck up to Gartner, right? Pay them $20,000 on the one side and hope their analyst will write something nice about you. But now, there are so many influencers out there. They're bloggers who are influencers in their own right? And so, and if you take it all the way into its most generalized thing, there are retailers today that are trying to mine consumer data, consumer usage data, to identify who the influencers are within their customer base, so that they can offer certain products or services at a discount or something like that, and have them influence others. So what they've found, the data is actually pretty powerful. They found that if they're able to identify the right influencer and provide them with some incentive, they're able to actually gain 5 customers out of that one influencer, right? As opposed to if you gave it to a follower, you're probably more like 1.1. So that's an area that I'm looking at very closely. Does it sort of answer your question?
Yeah, kind of.
Or so something tells me you're thinking about something else, but we'll talk offline.
Yeah. Any questions from the backside? See, Kittu, some of the NITians are in the process of pursuing entrepreneurship. So what is the process of approaching NEA and getting funding? So could you please explain like how NEA...
Yeah, first drop me a line. I'm available at kittu@nea.com. So that's pretty easy. If you think you want to come have a conversation, I'm happy to make the time for it. And typically our process is that, the sponsoring partner will take the initial meeting with 1 or 2 people maybe. And if it's, gets to a point where there is sufficient interest beyond that, they'll then expose it to a larger group. Typically we'll bring it in to our West Coast team, particularly the tech team. And if the West Coast team is excited enough, we'll then put it in front of the partnership for investment decision. That's kind of our sort of high-level 3-step process. Along the way, there's some due diligence we do on the customer side of things, or on various partnerships or whatever else, a go-to-market side.
You typically do seed investment or mostly Series B kind of thing?
So let me give you a quick overview of NEA. NEA is actually one of the oldest venture firms. It is the largest in terms of money under management. We have over $11 billion under management. Our most recent fund, NEA 13, is a $2.5 billion fund. Our last 4 funds have been, over $1 billion.